In Matthew 5:7, Jesus said this, "All you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one." That first part of what Jesus said there is also often translated as, "Let your yes be yes and your no be no." And what Jesus is talking about here is that he's calling us to be people of our word, to be people who speak the truth, who keep our promises, people who do what we say we're going to do. And Jesus said this in the midst of teaching about the practice of oath-taking, which was common in the ancient world. People sometimes still make oaths today. You'll hear someone say something like, "I swear on my mother's grave," or something like that. And the reason that people made oaths and still make oaths, of course, is to ensure others that what they're saying is true, or that they will do what they said they will do. But Jesus said that we are not to make oaths like that, and there are really two very important reasons for that. The first is that the whole ancient system of oath-taking was very corrupt. There was a agreed upon set of rules about what made an oath binding or not binding, and people were in the habit of making impressive sounding oaths that seemed like they were binding, but in the end really weren't, and they did that in order to defraud and swindle people. And Jesus didn't want his followers to be a part of a corrupt system like that, an evil system like that. But even more importantly, Jesus wants us to be people of our word. And he wants us to be people of our word so much so that all we need to do is to say yes or no, and that's good enough for people. No oaths or any other assurance needed. Now, most of us would like to think that we're people of our word, but in reality, we're often a lot more inconsistent than we think, and in many cases, kind of hypocritical about it. A lot of us have the habit of overscheduling ourselves and then backing out of our commitments, and sometimes we do that at the last minute and leave people hanging. We often are people who exaggerate what we say things that are half true, or repeat things that we haven't bothered to make sure are true. And if someone breaks their word to us or says something that's untrue to us, sometimes we just think of that as an unforgivable sin. But if we do the same, we think of it as almost nothing. So how good is your word? Do you keep your commitments and your promises? Are you careful to be sure that what you say is true and accurate? Is a simple yes or no from you something that people know they can bank on? Or do you have some work to do in one or more of those areas? It is really good to be a person of our word. It means that we're trustworthy and reliable and that people can count on us. It's good to be a person of our word because it's pleasing to God. It's pleasing to God because it's a good thing for us to be, but it's also pleasing to God because it's the way God is. God keeps his word. Psalm 145:13 says, "The Lord is trustworthy in all of his promises and faithful in all he does." So let's follow God's example and seek to be people of our word.